Confusing me now. When I asked you this earlier, you said only the city manager can make these appointments. Now you are saying to us, I appointed these people as representatives to the BEC.
This is in terms of the TAR.
But what's the difference?
The TAR is the tender advertisement request this is one page that I sign off. So in terms of this, it should be the city manager, yes.
You are confusing me. Who appoints members of the BEC? Remember, that was my earlier question, and you said, no, it can't be you or the CFO, it's the city manager. Does this not suggest that you appointed? Or does it mean nominate?
Nominate.
You nominate and then the city manager appoints?
Nominate.
Or approves?
Commissioner Kumalo, nominate.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner. The tender procurement process, I will just correct there, Commissioner Kumalo. The tender procurement process was successfully concluded and ultimately 8 bidders were awarded a tender. Then the tender process was also subjected to probity. Probity review is done by group audit and risk. They check that the process was followed correctly in appointing these 8 companies. I do not know how the tender was evaluated. However, Brigadier Sipo Nkomo will then also come before this committee so that he can just also put it more into context. He will only be giving evidence in terms of that entire process. I do not know how the tender was evaluated, and he will also assist, he assisted with technical expertise on behalf of TMPD. And he will be able to give more context in this regard once he appears before the Commission. Concluding remarks. In conclusion, I wish to reiterate that my tenure as Commissioner of the TMPD has been guided by a steadfast commitment to the principles of integrity, as well as transparency and the rule of law. Since my appointment, I have endeavored to ensure that the TMPD operates not only as an efficient and effective law enforcement agency, but also as a responsible organ of state that adheres strictly to the procurement frameworks set out in the Constitution and the MFMA. I have a specific duty to report corruption under Section 34 of the Prevention and Combating of Corrupt Activities Act 2004. And I'm not only doing it because if I fail, it could result in a 10-year prison sentence. I do it because that is the right thing to do. The Independent Police Investigative Directorate, also known as IPID, in terms of the IPID Act 2011, is broader. Section 29 requires all SAPS members, and commissioners, we are appointed under the SAPS Act 68 of 1995, to notify IPID immediately after becoming aware of graft or other cases falling within IPID's mandate. Contraventions carry also up to 2 years imprisonment.
Have you reported any matters to IPID?
We're going to do that, Commissioner, I promise you. As I said, our investigation, we already reported to other organs of state, as I said. Yes. We are going to, when the investigation is eventually concluded, we are going to make sure any contravention that was there in terms of any law act, we will report it and report it to the national organ of state. What we've picked up, Commissioner, is if you start charging people, they resign and then they just go to somewhere else. And then everybody just leave the case and nothing comes of it because the person has left the employ of whatever municipality. We are not going to allow that. We will still pursue any other contravention and any act. That is what I've given to my investigating head to do. That is now acting Deputy Commissioner Danny Manar.
Yes, I think my question is more general than specific. I think in your testimony earlier in the day, you said that you've had cases of members of TMPD being arrested for different things. And one of the examples you gave was bribery, for example. And so my question, it being general, is do you have any cases, not necessarily arising from these procurement matters that we are concerned with now, but do you have any pending matters that have been reported to IPID and that IPID is handling in respect of the TMPD?
Definitely, Commissioner. We also have a quarterly meeting with IPID.
Yes.
And as I didn't actually answer Commissioner Khumalo when you asked, do we implement the recommendations? Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
You offered to deal with it in a supplement.
But I just wanted to say, yes, all the recommendations coming from IPID, I also get the reports, and I make sure that is one of the things that I monitor, to make sure that we implement it. So
And
yes,
I'm assuming in your supplementary you can give us the statistics.
I'll do that, definitely.
You can say, for example, over the past 3 years,
Definitely.
there were this number of IPID recommendations, all of them were implemented. Those that were not implemented,
Definitely.
what's the reason?
May I correct you, Commissioner Khumalo? Can I have it from the 1st of October 2023? That was under my...
Yes, yes.
Thank you
I
so
think
much,
that's
Commissioner
fair.
Khumalo.
Thank
You are so kind. Thank you.
Commissioner, you rightly point out or lament
Yes.
that people resign.
Yes.
And then that's the end of that matter. But isn't the solution to that matters must be reported to the SAPS?
Definitely.
As I've understood it, with Ekurhuleni, in respect of Ekurhuleni, similar cases, it's that complaints, and I think Commissioner Spies, as
Yes.
he then was,
Yes.
referred matters to the SAPS, and then those matters were then referred to IPID. From the SAPS, they go to IPID. Isn't that what should be the practice, in fact, the way to circumvent people escaping criminal prosecution or consequences for what is effectively criminal conduct, that complaints should be lodged with the SAPS? And that way a person resigns, they get out of the clause of the IPID, but they remain under police jurisdiction. Have you considered?
You are 100% Commissioner Baloy. As I alluded when I did my background, I'm also the chair of the National Commissioners Forum of the country. We even took that matter up at the national level. We don't only want it to happen at TMPD. What we also do, we deregister you as a Metro Police officer or more, a traffic officer, so that you can't also jump to go from one department. And we're also looking at the database that we can also share that information. So you are correct. And also we said we don't want to wait on the South African Police Service and IPID or whoever is investigating to give us a feedback. We need to follow up. And if we see that it stays too long with a person, you can follow up with a senior. We need to start following up and not leave it and say, I'm waiting on IPID, I'm waiting on the South African Police Service. We need to trace our case numbers, and we need to trace our cases that we report. So that is what we as the commissioners of the country also want to, busy with actually, and we're looking at standardizing it on a national level. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. Now, paragraph 61. In my commitment, I have taken proactive steps, including the instruction of new control measures to mitigate the risk of irregular expenditure and to safeguard the city's resources. Given what I've learned, I believe it is important that we continue to pay close attention to procurement processes and internal interferences in the manipulation on ongoing process within the TMPD. That must also be done without interference from the person that maybe wants to claim I'm monitoring, but then you interfere as well. I remain fully committed to assisting this commission in its mandate. I hope that the information and documentation provided in the statement, supplemented by the testimonies of deputy commissioners and officials I have designated, and the supplementary homework that I've received, I'm just adding that, Commissioner Khumalo, my homework that I received will provide the necessary clarity on the matters under inquiry. I would also like to highlight to the Commission to assist in protecting those that expose fraud and corruption and any form of irregularities because of what I have experienced. One becomes a target as soon as you expose corrupt activities. And I'm sure after I've appeared in front of this commission, it will not stop. However, commissioners, I will do this over and over again. I would also want to make use of this opportunity to thank the commissioners and all the evidence leaders and everyone behind the scenes. If it was so much intense for me in terms of making sure that you give your statement is there and your evidence and making sure you meet regularly with the evidence leader, I really can not even imagine how much it be for the commissioners that sits here on a daily basis. I really want from my side to thank you for what you are doing for the country and for the province of Gauteng, and I wish that this can be rolled out after Gauteng to all the municipalities within the borders of South Africa. Thank you, commissioners, for the opportunity that I could have be a witness in front of this commission and also have given some clarity and also some information in terms of what was in the statement and then also the evidence that was attached. Thank you, commissioners.
Mr. Sakane. Thank you. I think we might have missed the boat, but I think we had started with that. We'll let Commissioner Faro go through her statements and then be not as interruptive, but I think we took some time interrupting. In the interest of time, there are areas that I would like to probe with her.
Yes.
I will not go to too much detail in the interest of time.
Commissioner, thank you for your remarks. I just want to say that what is bothersome is that in many instances, starting with Eguruleni, SAPS, and now Tswane, there has been a lot of movement by the institutions concerned, the action being taken against officials. But what's bothersome about that is that, but for what has been divulged at this commission, it seems that it would have been business as usual. That is quite bothersome. I'm not necessarily directing this at you, but at the institutions concerned. And we are talking what? This is only SAPS, Eguruleni, and SAPS, only at the top level, at the level of generals. Yes, there may be an odd brigadier and so on here and there. So that's a very small window, if I may call it that, both at SAPS and also nationally in terms of only Eguruleni, only Tswane. So it's quite bothersome because these institutions cannot possibly be outliers. One believes that what we see is replicated throughout the country. That's quite bothersome. But thank you. Yes, Mrs. Kakane.
Mr. Skakani, sorry, we kept interrupting, so I've almost exhausted all my questions. I only have one. So if you indulge me, I will ask it now and then allow you the rest of the afternoon to deal with what you wanted to deal with.
Commissioner, please feel free, even if you have 2, 3, 4.
Commissioner Faro, my concern was with the asset protection and security services. you, in your statement, had set out what the mandate of a metro police is. And you referred to Section 64 and the alphabetical letters
Yes.
B, C that follow. And I did not see anywhere in those sections where it falls within a mandate of a metro police to be responsible for protection of municipal property. And I think you rightly said that the owner, the person who's accountable for these properties, is actually the COO. Is it right that the Metro Police should be responsible for this? And what has been your experience when you were at, I think you were at Nelson Mandela Bay and then City of Cape Town at some point? Is it the same in those municipalities that the Metro Police Department is responsible for this function of asset protection and security services? Or is the position different there?
Thank you, Commissioner Kumalo. It does not fall under the Metro Police, Commissioner Kumalo. It falls under, it is a leg on its own in Nelson Mandela Bay under safety and security. The same within the City of Cape Town. City of Cape Town also has got Metro Police, they've got traffic services, they've got law enforcement, and they've got VIP services. So Metro Police does not fall under Metro Police also in the City of Cape Town.
So it seems like Tshwane is confused because you corrected yourself and said it was not an insourcing. It was almost a parallel movement from one section within City of Tshwane to another. Even Tshwane is confused because they're not quite sure where this department or this section or this function should fall. I mean, is that not a problem? Because I'm not sure that the Metro Police are qualified, and I could be wrong. I'm not sure that they are qualified to deal with this department because their function is really by law enforcement and assisting with crime prevention and all those things that you have mentioned. Now, to be dishing out tenders where you're spending billions of rands, I think the amount we had was 2.9 billion the other day. I mean, it's a serious concern to me because I don't know that the Metro Police are qualified to be dealing with those things.
Commissioner, I'm the city manager, the accounting officer gave me the letter, 1st of July 2024, and he says, asset APSS is with you now. I believe when there was, remember when we established Metro Police all over the country? Like in Cape Town, they took traffic services, law enforcement services, and they made it a Metro Police with all the others. The same happened here when they had to start the Metro Police in 2002. So whatever departments you had that was more like a law enforcement safety, it was under there. That's why originally, when they did start the Metro Police, APSS was part of Metro Police 2002. And then, as I said, 2021, April, it was moved away via a memo from the then Executive Mayor, Randall Williams. And then the 1st of July 2024, it came back to Metro Police. Should it be with Metro Police? Commissioner Kumalo, you're going to get me into trouble. I would say if you protect maybe the assets of the city, who is the owner of the assets of the city? So it must either be with the COO, who's got the infrastructure, whether it is the reservoirs or whether it is the electrical substations, or the GSO, who is responsible for all the buildings of the municipality.
I'm saying because here's the thing. When you do eventually insource all the security guards, if you do, let me not say when, if you do eventually insource all the security guards, they won't become Metro Police officers because they are not appointed in terms of the SAPS Act.
Yes.
So they
Correct.
will become employees of the City of Tshwane and they will become security guards working for Tswane.
You are
TMPD can be responsible for them. So that's why I don't understand why that function, because it is outsourced, TMPD is responsible for it. But if it were insourced, those people would not be TMPD officers, and they would therefore be employees falling under a different department. But I mean, maybe the CFO is better placed to answer some of these questions. I was just posing it to hear your view. And if you don't want to get into trouble and you prefer not to answer.
I'm a person
Chair is
that
happy
will
that
answer.
Chair is happy that we allow you to say. I will leave it for the CFO.
Unfortunately, I have to be honest, Commissioner Kumalo, and that was my honest opinion. Because, Commissioner, you are correct. If you look at who is the owner, if you look at anybody's property, Metro Police is not looking after you. You've got your own security company. So you as the owner of that house, the state is not going to put a policeman outside your house or a Metro Police officer. You as the owner of the house must make sure that you have even security measures in place, whether it's a camera, whether it's you must make sure you've got a fence around your house, and then you must make sure that maybe a security company will respond if you press a panic button. So that is logical thinking, and you are correct, Commissioner Kumalo.
Thank you, Mr. Skakane.
Before you